Hello everybody, Big Seven here, back for another AFL Supercoach video. In all likelihood, one of my last AFL videos for this season. I used my last trade last week, traded out Tom Green to Took Miller. That was in order to avoid a 29 Matt Johnson score and whatever cover I would have had to take this week. So I'm out on trades, which honestly means that my motivation's pretty much gone. And at this point of the season, all I'm doing is hoping that I can fall into a top 1,000 position with no real flexibility, nothing really to think about apart from captains and vice captains. So, yeah, season over essentially. Hopefully finish inside the top 1,000 from here, but it'll be a tough ask. So we'll go into the side. The 22 is pretty solid. So last week, Captain Merritt, Vice Captain Stewart. I didn't even say what I scored last week. I scored. Actually, I'll go into that. Go back to that. So go to my history. So yeah, as mentioned, Tom Green to Took Miller last week. It didn't stop what was a pretty major decrease last week. So I went down from 426 to 712 last week. And then this week stabilized a bit, 670. I would be happy just to hold rank, but yeah, still very much below the heights that I reached at round 15. Just, I copped a lot of carnage. That can't be argued. I think over the past, let's have a look at some trades real briefly. I'm going to do a full season review video. So, yeah, looking at this briefly though, Tom Green had to trade him out. Bailey Smith lost his form. Had a good week last week, but this week back to 55. So, and I would have had to, if I kept him, I would have had to have a donut. So, no regrets on that. Elliot Yeo, yeah, that was probably a bad trade in given his injury history. But you know, before that, Sicily, who would have thought he gets suspended again? DeGoey gets suspended. Zeebel's a good trade out. Darcy gets injured. Oliver gets injured. Hopper gets injured. It's just a lot. And then even earlier on, like having to trade out Miller and LDU at an unfortunate time. I mean, there are bad trades in there, but also a lot of carnage that was unavoidable. So I will be happy if I can finish inside the top 1,000. We'll just see what happens from here on out. So I will show you the side pretty briefly. The 22 looks good. The cover is not good. Seamus Mitchell, I was hoping he could be like a 60, 70 guy for the rest of the year. Scoring seems to have dropped off since Sicily returned, and he was tactically subbed out halfway through the second quarter. So, wow. Yeah, that cover isn't good. Campbell Chesser, what a miracle that I kept him instead of Constable when I traded Constable out at round 4. So maybe that cover is actually going to be good. I would prefer not to use it, obviously, but I'm in a pretty dire spot. And then Marriage, who's kind of ticking along okay, considering he's a tallish medium forward in a poor side, averaging 50 odd. So yeah, if I cop any injuries over the next few weeks, it's not going to be pretty. I've got Adam Chera there as well, who 104 in 2.5 quarters and then gets injured. I mean, if that doesn't sum up the season, I don't know what does. Almost vice captained him too. So hopefully it's just tightness and he plays, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's more serious and I do have to revert to this Chess or a Marriage cover, which it's pretty ugly. The rest of the side is in pretty good shape. Defense is good. Sheasel at D6, and Sheasel seems to have found form again. although he did play a little bit forward final term, but he just seems to score everywhere. So happy to have Sheasel D6. Took Miller M8. And I still was maybe a little bit optimistic, but he is still building into his the rest of the year, I think. And if we look at the start of the year, everything, all the minutes played at 100 plus. Last couple of weeks, few weeks where it seems to be building up, and then played more of a run with role against Neil, against Brisbane, still scored 106. So hopefully, last 4 weeks he can get back to his best, go 120 plus. But the rest of the midfield's all fine. No one that I'm really sweating on missing. The ruck line is a bit of a problem. Marshall and Briggs, who and by themselves are scoring okay. It's just the opportunity costs of missing Max Gawn, who, in a massive shock, who would have thought that the best ruckman of this decade would be dominating playing as a sole ruck? Wow. Well done, Simon Goodwin. Only took you 18 rounds to figure that out. But as a Melbourne supporter, it's good to watch Big Max go around. In terms of Supercoach, I'd love to have the big man in my side. And then English, who I just faded for the entire year. I just didn't want to pick him with his injury history. He's managed to stay fit all year, and you just got to say fair play sometimes, Can't get everything right. If I had luxury trades, I'd obviously love to get him in. But I don't. So it's just the reality of the situation. And just another example of something that hasn't broken my way. And look, a lot of things have broken my way, but I don't know. You're always going to have some good luck that you're not going to acknowledge as much. You always notice the bad luck, but again, I'll go through that in another video. Tim English is just one of those coin flips that hasn't gone right, and you can't dwell too much over those. Forward line looks fairly strong. Taranto's lost a bit of form, still averaging 110. Wouldn't read into that too much. Darcy Cameron starting to come good, which is great, especially after some people wasted a couple of trades getting him in and out. And then the rest of them, big boys, Zach Butters, Rosie, Gordon, and Dunkley, all doing their jobs well. So in terms of potential trades, I'm not going to go through them. I'm sure other people will be. I just think at this time of the year, it's a lot easier to say, it's easy to say, if I had this trades, if I had one trade, I would do this. If I had two trades, I would do that. But especially this time of year, advice really should be team dependent. So I'm not going to go through trades. I will go through captains, though. It was good to hit on Merritt last week. The week before, I went Gordon for his 60, so that compounded a already bad week into a diabolical one. So, yeah, Essendon against West Coast, probably just have to go Merritt vice-captain again, right? Bontempelli against Richmond, and it was reported, I think, a couple of weeks ago that Bontempelli was dealing with a calf injury, so I'm going to avoid him for now. Merritt vice-captain, could go Petrarca against North. Who else is there? Adelaide against Gold Coast. Laird could be okay. Dawson could be okay, but no strong feelings. Collingwood against Hawthorn. That'll be interesting to see if Dacos gets fin-magged like he was in the last pre-season game. I think I'm going to avoid Dacos. I just recall seeing after the Port Adelaide game, he just seemed to be labouring a bit. I'm not sure if he had that excuse last week, but it is that kind of the year where a lot of players are playing sore, and it wouldn't surprise me if Dacos was sore also. And a potential fin-mag tag, I'll fade him as the captain. Stewart against Port Adelaide, or Port Adelaide mid at Geelong, I think I'll avoid that. GWS against Sydney, that big Briggsy against Hayden McLean. Who did Sydney play last week? They played Essendon, so no real Rockman, don't have a sample size. Breeze could go okay against Sydney in what I would expect to be a contested derby game. I think it's too optimistic. Can't really captain a guy that's only going 105. Petrarca against North, maybe. I'm still not a big fan of his split between midfield and forward in terms of Supercoach, but he has still been scoring well. So maybe I'll go Petrarca. See what eventuates. Who else is there? Collingwood. St Kilda against the Blues. Nothing really stands out to me there. And then Fremantle against Brisbane. I reckon Dunkley's probably just a safe play. So if we look at his scoring, he did have that calf complaint, I think it was. Was it a hamstring? Some kind of leg injury. And yeah, look at that scoring. It's pretty safe. I'm not looking to do anything too different at this point of the year. Just pick the best available rather than chase points, because at this point, I'm trying to preserve rank rather than chase it. So in this scenario, I just want to do what I think is best. If it is pod and I think it's best, then I'll still do it. But I think Dunkley will be a pretty popular captain this week, and I will stick with that. Yeah. So that sums up everything from me. Like I said earlier, my motivation has gone for the most part, and I'm still checking in on my side, as games go along, but not as invested as I was, 5-8 weeks ago. So this will probably be one of the last videos I do for the year. I might check in a couple of weeks if I'm still in contention for top 1,000. But really, there isn't too much to say. I do want to thank everybody that has subscribed to the channel, that watches the video, likes the videos, all of that stuff. I'm not someone that is, trying to be a big YouTuber. I'm more making these videos for a couple of reasons. First reason is for myself. I will go back and see how I've done. Like next year, I'll go back and look through the videos, try and pinpoint where my downfalls were, try and take away whatever lessons I can from those. Second reason, also to try and give people a little bit more knowledge. Obviously, quite a lot of knowledgeable people in the Supercoach space. But yeah, if I've helped even one person, then I will happily, go to sleep with that on my mind. Yeah, so I'm not someone that's really looking at the subscriber count or anything like that. Video quality is pretty low, admittedly. But yeah, I would like to thank everybody that has followed me along this journey. And for those that are still in contention for, top 1,000, top 11, maybe even overall, I wish you the best of luck for the year. And yeah, I think that sums it up for me. I will be back with at least around 24 review. So yeah, I hopefully will see you for the next video, and best of luck with your sides going forward.